Welcome to American Self-Defense Concepts. I'm Nick,
I'm Doug.
and welcome to Weapons of Opportunity.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of
Weapons of Opportunity.
Today we're going to go off track, and instead of all these fancy lethals and whips, we're going to get back to home.
Yeah.
And the term we're going to use today, blunt force trauma. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a hammer. And this is a wrench. Woo!
I guess this is going to be more of a debate kind of episode and like I said, talking about blunt force trauma.
These are weapons that can be, or tools that can be found in most homes, and can be used and have been used in various cases. This seems to be the more popular of the two. And these generally are tied back to domestic violence situations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the wrench. I mean, see those in street altercations. I mean, especially if guy's a mechanic or keeps tools in his truck. Hey, guess what I'm grabbing first?
Right. And let's face it, if you have any toolbox whatsoever, or if I've ever done anything in your house, you have one of these laying around. I have like 5 just of these.
Right?
Now, the mafia preferred the ball peens.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what a ball peen hammer is, do look it up. They're awesome.
Yeah. Ball pings and ice picks.
So, like I said, these are everyday handy tools that, like I said, there's been multiple cases. I think when we looked up statistics for 2019,
It was 18, I believe.
the ones I looked at were 19. But the first time that the gun activity, I think we can, I think 2020 is even going to be worse because all this crazy year between riots and gun sales have rocketed.
Well, and then, I mean, you got the domestic violences that have risen over
Because of
this year,
COVID.
too.
So, up to the last time I checked this was 2011, there was actually more people killed by hammers than there were guns in that year.
And again, you're going to see a lot more of these, especially the hammer, in a domestic violence situation. Because, I mean, not only are you going to find this in the garage, like I said, I mean, if you're doing housework, they're laying around the house.
Generally, somebody has one somewhere, even if it's just to hang a picture or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you will find this tends to be the lady's weapon of choice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but they feel comfortable with hammers, apparently.
Yeah. I'm not going to blame them.
No, that is definitely a George Carlin line of how hangs the hammer.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I couldn't find my bigger wrenches, but this one's still plenty big enough. It's going to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
And this is only I will point this out. This is a American standard, the only measuring system in the world.
Spoken like a true American.
Right? America. So this is only a 7/8 wrench, but it's got some
heft to it.
Got some heft.
But it's light enough to easily manipulate that size too.
And no, it is not a snap-on, just in case anybody wants to know. I break wrenches. I don't want to break an expensive one. And why do you think this is a popular weapon to do harm for blunt force trauma?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with it, and it's something that's usually, like again, we mentioned, it's something that's already right there, and that might be the first thing I see and grab. It's like, hey, this is gonna do a job and hurt somebody.
Yeah, it's accessible.
Because if you think about it, in those situations, especially domestic, you know, you're in that high intensity situation. You're already going into fight or flight. Your mind's already going to survival mode. Like, you know, I mean, if you're not calm, you're already thinking. If you're calm, you're going to have your wits about you and think like a normal human being. But if you're going survival mode, you're literally thinking of like bare necessity, like one thing at a time, like looking for this thing. It might just be natural reaction, like hammer, bam.
Yeah, there's been in a lot of cases that I wonder if this is an insurance trick. People in altercations will walk out to their attached garage and grab the hammer. If it's not a attached garage, do you suppose they would still make the effort to walk out?
Probably not.
So, insurance claim 101. So all you people in bad relationships, make sure you have a separate or detached garage from your house.
Well, I mean, even talking about that too, I mean, going back to domestic violence. If you're going to have an argument, situational awareness, big thing. If you're arguing, you want to make sure you're looking around in the room that you're in. I mean, if you're in a kitchen, hey, there's a lot of weapons in there. You got knives. I mean, you got tenderizing hammers and everything like that. You got fucking plates.
You got what kind of plates?
You heard me.
Wow, somebody's getting serious. So yes, be definitely of where you're at. Always try to keep your wits about you, especially the females. Be aware where you're at, where your exits are. If it's escalating, get out.
Yes, if you can get out of the situation, especially domestic, get out. I mean, don't sit there and keep arguing. Don't keep fueling, because I mean, natural reaction. So, like we tell people when we're talking about situational awareness, what is somebody's natural reaction if they're yelling at you and you start yelling back? What's usually going to happen?
It escalates.
It's going to escalate, and eventually your fists are going to start flying.
If you're lucky, somebody won't grab a hammer.
Right. And another statistic: once a weapon is introduced into a domestic, it's
usually going to get used.
There's an 80% chance it's going to get used against you. So if somebody's grabbing a weapon in domestic, you better think that, hey, it's going to get used against me here.
I said, give me a ticket back pie.
Right. But, I mean,
it's a academic meals. Sorry, that was uncalled for.
But, I mean, yeah, situational awareness, and don't fuel a fire, because, I mean, most conflicts result from some kind of miscommunication or lack of communication. Especially a domestic, if you think about it. How do a lot of your fights start in a domestic? Somebody's not talking, or somebody doesn't have the security or something, and it's because that they're not getting that communication that they need. People have different ways of communication, and some people need a little bit more communication than some other people. But it all boils down to communication in those situations. And that's how fights start, and that's how conflicts start.
Yep.
Even outside of domestics, I mean, that's usually how they start. Like, it might not even have to be, I mean, you might be just like looking, you might have like 1,000-yard stare going on, deep thought, and somebody might think you're looking at it. It's like, hey, what the hell are you looking at?
Why are you looking at me, SA?
You know?
You don't know what you're talking about. Wow.
All right.
Nah, growing up around garages, mechanics love their wrenches.
Mm-hmm.
Seen more than one guy chased out of a garage with a wrench.
Right. Tire iron.
Tire irons are awesome. But these are, blunt force trauma, when we're talking about that, that's any, your clubs, your bats, tire checkers, hammers.
Baseball bats, sorry.
2x4s.
Yeah.
Anything that you can swing to hit somebody and make a good thud.
Mm-hmm.
So stop and think about that. What's in your house, where it's at, And if somebody broke into your house and you don't have, my first weapon of choice is always going to be a gun. But if you don't have that, what's close by to a door? If somebody's trying to force you in the door, to have available.
Another thing, consider with that too. While you're looking around your house and seeing what you have, hey, I could use this as like a weapon to defend myself, in the home. Make sure you're actually understand how you would use that as a weapon for one. Two, you got to sit there and be able to understand the spaces in the area you're in when you're in there. You're like, what is this going to be better in? Like, if it's a big old baseball bat or something like that, are you going to be able to swing that in a little hallway?
Where is it placed at in your home? Do you even have access to it? Mm-hmm. That's the key. Is you don't want it right next to the door, but you want it, because generally if they are coming in the door, you're retreating anyway. Mm-hmm. So you want it probably 5-10 feet from the door, depending on what your arrangements are. Figure out what would work best for you.
Yeah, and also something to consider too, though. You'd be surprised at how many people actually sit there and walk out of curiosity to see what's coming through their door.
Right. It's just, it might be, oh, I opened the door and this guy all of a sudden is coming in uninvited. Yeah. So, yeah, everybody has their ticks on their versions of home security. And honestly, this is just to get you guys thinking about what you can use. The old joke used to be the old cast iron frying pan. They are awesome, but they're very hard to manipulate. Mm-hmm. So that's a one-shot wonder. If you don't get them, don't swing it twice. Mm-hmm.
Well, the other thing is don't just rely on one thing too. If anything, like I said, have at least one of something in each room or area you might be in. So that way you know where it's at. Something that's going to be easily for you to manipulate and hold and work with. Something that's going to do the damage, and then also work in that space you are in.
Yeah. And I can't say don't be a dumbass, use a trainer, because it doesn't fall into this category. You just got to be, whatever you have and you have laid out, you need to be comfortable using.
Yeah. Because, if you don't sit there and...
If you keep a CO2 pepper gun spray in a curio cabinet, 5 feet from the door, do you have time to get over there to get that?
Are you going to sit there and, if somebody's walking in with the intent to rob you or kill you, are you going to sit there and go, please hold, let me get my pepper spray right next to you here. Hey. Just saying.
Yeah. So that's part of that situational awareness. Just know where things are at, the layout of your house, and just keep things handy. Sorry, we kind of got off on a tangent. But once you have it, go emerald. Bam! Bam! Baby. So now that we have gotten a little blue pill Viagra thing going on, so I'm Bob.
No, I'm Bob.
You're Bob? I'm Tom?
Sure.
Okay.
You're older. I'm Bob.
If the little blue pill doesn't work, please use blunt force trauma. By the way, this is a Stanley fiberglass handle, 16-ounce claw hammer. Nice, good rubber grip, so you'd have to get
blood on it.
It's going to stay well gripped. If you use a solid wood handle, it's going to probably get a little slippery. So I'd recommend O.J. Simpson and wear a glove.
Composure.
Wrenches. Most mechanics wear gloves nowadays, so
yeah.
Just keep that in mind, that these are slippery, but granted, if I'm using that to whack somebody's arms or whatever, it's still going to do the damage. Mm-hmm. So, Now that we're done talking construction and Viagra, got one stuck in my throat the other night and I got a stiff neck. Oh, you're so stiff.
Did you rub it out? Did you?
Yes, I did. Rub one out for the guitar.
Oh shit.
Other than that, yes, that's kind of what we all wanted to cover in this episode, was just an introduction to make you think what you have in your house, what's available, and just think about, if I got somebody coming through the front door or the back door, or am I going to rely on my dogs? No, but they'll at least tell me somebody's coming in.
You know, my other point with this is going to be too is, while you're thinking about those and finding these things, I want you to realize with those laying around through your house, those can be used against you as well, either in domestic, or if somebody's coming in your house and breaking in, they can also pick those up as well and use them against you as well.
True that.
Just saying.
No, that's a good point. I mean, it's a valid point. But most of the guys coming in are generally going to have a weapon of some sort.
Use it most of the time. I mean, it's going to be blunt, or it could be lethal.
Yep.
Depending on what
their
intent is. So be aware of that. If they manage to lose their weapon or something happened to their weapon, I mean, like I said, they can just as easily get to those in your house as you can. So, or stop at least you from getting them.
Okay, now I don't know a household that doesn't have this. Where is your roll of duct tape? Vinyl ties. If I do get this guy unconscious, I want to definitely keep him at bay or tied up or down until the cops get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know if there's a house out there that doesn't have duct tape, I would be surprised. I've got 3 rolls. Different colors. I even think I got Hello Kitty duct tape. They do. That reminds me of an old war story, but we won't go into that.
Okay then.
So I hope we at least got you guys thinking, and think about your layouts and just kind of run through some scenarios. Don't be paranoid. But you never know, with the crazy ass world we're in right now, anything can happen. So be prepared.
Yeah, just be prepared. You know, be proactive in your thinking, and I mean, it goes back to that situational awareness. I mean, that's your best weapon that you have is your mind. Your mind is your most powerful weapon, and it can also be your worst enemy. So, I mean,
don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it, but, you know, at least be prepared. Just be prepared, you know, even when, like I said, I mean, the biggest thing you're probably going to face, really, real world, is going to be the domestics. So at least take precautions, you know, use your head.
If you truly love them, find a way to walk away from the situation until you both calm down.
That's the best way to handle that situation, is walk away until you guys talk in a civil manner.
But if he or she is already flared up, don't turn your back and walk away.
Work it out slowly, getting out. But don't be sitting there yelling back or anything like that. And I mean, even if your significant other keeps trying to instigate it, or, you know, starts, I mean,
you stole my ravioli!
You know, it's like, just at that point, don't take it personal, because they're going to try to make it personal and try to get you and get a reaction out of you. That's what, a lot of those fights end up that way, is they're just trying to get a reaction out of you at that point. They want to fight. And, you know, it's like, is it really worth you guys both getting charged with either assault or some kind of battery, domestic battery or anything like that? Is it really worth it?
Or potentially losing your kids, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, especially if you got kids. I mean, because there's child endangerment, child abuse charges that could be put against you in those situations. Like, you know, take the time to think those situations through. It's like, is that all worth it? Especially just even putting your kids through, if you have kids in those relationships. It's like, what example do you want to set? I mean, I'm not going to be preaching or anything about it, but I want you to think about those things, because I mean, your life does somewhat revolve around those situations, and those are changes that can affect your life a lot too.
And like, unlike the 50s where Dick and Jane and the perfect lifestyle, we all know not every household is always a great household to live in and grow up in. And now I was lucky; I had a great place and atmosphere to grow up in.
Yeah.
So, but I know people that have been on the opposite end of that spectrum, and that's another story.
Yeah.
But we're not here to preach to you. We're just think.
Yeah, I mean, the moral of that, especially like I just mentioned, is, take the time to think about those situations. Don't let your impulses, control you, and your anger control you. I mean, it's not going to help your situation. And usually, if you go on impulse, bad things are going to happen.
Yeah, don't play the game.
Yeah.
If they raise their voice, keep a calm voice. Talk normal. Talk it down. If you see it is going to escalate, walk away.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best advice I can give anybody.
Like I said, don't, if it's to that point where it's escalating, don't just turn your back, start walking, because, even that leaving part is also a dangerous part in a domestic, because, I mean, that's where the hell you go, bam! It's like, work it out casually, start slowly making your way that way,
Never know, they might throw a computer at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Inside joke. But, casually work it that way where you can at least safely get out where there's no weapons around or anything like that, where you're not going to get harmed, and then you sit there and make your way and at least get in your car, and if she's not letting you go, just sit in your car.
Go for a drive. Yeah.
Well, if she's blocking your parking spot or from you getting out and whatnot,
she's probably got the hammer smashing your window at that point. Or a golf club.
Right? She's already smashing out your window and you need to floor it.
Get the hell out!
Same thing if he's doing that too. I mean, once that intent, like I said, once that weapon is introduced, it's likely going to get used against you. So once the weapon's out, go.
Hi, little Kermit the Frog here, talking to Tiger Woods.
How was that back
Okay, I'm done with that jokes.
Okay.
So, I hope this got you thinking, and
at least
get your awareness. Things that you might not think about that could actually be used against you if you're not in a healthy relationship. And or somebody coming into your door, and or
I mean, no matter the situation, it's always good just to at least think of those kind of things once in a while. It's like, because I mean, a lot of people, it's like, what is it considered a weapon? What is a weapon?
Anything you get your damn hands on.
I mean, the actual weapon is your mind. It is, because if you think about it,
Vulcan mind
because I mean, just this right here, it's a normal hammer. I mean, its intent is to sit there and, hammer in nails or break down something, Well, it depends on what you're working on. But this can easily turn in your hands instead of become a tool, become a weapon. That's all an intent used in your mind of what it's going to be used for. What turns it as a weapon is your mind.
I am going to go far leftist on this.
All right.
And suggest that we start putting restriction laws for hammers and 7-day wait periods before somebody can buy a hammer.
Which, I mean, that's fine. Because guess what? If I really want to cause damage, I'll just find something else.
So, hence, we won't get into that. That's.
So we're not going to get into politics, but that's, I mean, the idea with what we're saying, though, is that it's anything that around you can be a weapon.
It's an inanimate object. It cannot make a choice. Just like I won't go say a gun. It cannot make a choice. the person using it makes the choice.
And I mean, to be honest, it's like my hands could be just hands. I mean, I use my hands every day.
I don't want to know what for.
But I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we use our hands for everything from eating to building things to work. I mean, we use it for everything. Yeah, even digging for gold. But with what we do, I mean, we can easily turn our own bodies into a weapon. I mean, our mind is the weapon. That's my thoughts on that.
Fair enough. I'm Tom.
I'm Bob.
Peace out. Love your neighbor.
Deuces. Love your neighbor. We appreciate you guys watching our video. Always feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, and also check out the links for the products we have posted in our video.